So the video you're about to watch is an exclusive interview with Shaun, the co-founder of GoHighLevel. And chances are if you're watching this video, you already know what GoHighLevel is, so there's no need for an explanation. If you don't, check out the other videos on my channel. So the interview was with me, Shaun, and also my Start Your SaaS community, which of course is a free community to be a part of. We spoke about the different features that he likes to sell within GoHighLevel. We spoke about how to get more customers, more clients, and also how to generate more revenue for all your clients. So if you're interested in getting on one of these calls where we're having exclusive guests in every few weeks with 6 and 7 and hopefully 8-figure earners very, very soon, all you need to do is sign up for GoHighLevel using my link. It's down below. Once you sign up, you get access to the community where we have the weekly coaching calls with all of the guests in there, one-on-one mentorship, and also a course. So make sure you take notes from this interview. I know a lot of the guys did. There was so much value in here. So if you're ever interested in joining up on one of those, sign up for GoHighLevel down below using my link. If you have any questions whatsoever, you can reach out to me on Instagram. We'll jump straight into the interview. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Shaun. How are you?
Awesome. Good.
Good stuff, man.
Almost back to my desk.
Yeah, perfect. Take your time. Take your time, man. But
All good.
thanks for jumping on the call with us. My name's Jason McElcar. I'm the sort of the guy that organized this whole thing right here, along with Xavier.
Hey,
Yeah,
nice to meet you.
yeah,
Thanks for having me on.
yeah. Of course, everyone in here sort of my affiliates, of course, as you can probably yeah, as you probably know. But yeah, no, I just wanted to jump on, ask a few questions and just sort of, just jump on and have a quick chat and that. Perfect. You don't mind me recording this either, Shaun, no?
Oh, heck no.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. Sounds good. Well, yeah, thanks for jumping on, man. If there's anyone want to take the stage here and ask Shaun anything, what is he just need
If you don't mind, can I go first?
Yeah,
All right.
go for it.
Sean, what's the crack? My name's Jamie. I'm obviously a part of this group as well with everyone else in here.
Good to meet you, Jamie.
Good to meet you too. Hey, I have a couple of questions if you don't mind. So the first one, what did you know? What do you know now that you didn't when you started out that could have helped you if you did know, if you get what I mean?
So I think it means like, what have you sort of realized since starting GoHighLevel up till now? You know what I mean? Like, what sort of has there been any mindset shifts? Is there anything that you realize about business that if you'd known back then, sort of the whole business would have accelerated a lot more? You know what I mean?
Oh, I think I missed that question, but it was like, if I knew what I knew now, would I do anything different?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
I mean, I probably would have just done what we're doing now faster. I mean, it took us a while to see the agency model, understand what we were doing, and pivot that way. So I probably would have gotten to it a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. That's good. And
All
then
right, good.
I
Thank you.
keep going, Jimmy, if you want.
I have another one here. How would you set yourself apart from everyone else? Like, I know you're doing that right now in GHL, but like, is there any art tips, to set yourself apart from everyone else?
Now things are going to be a lot easier. Okay. Did you just ask what makes us different?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, I like tips on.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would say the biggest thing that makes us different is that we don't have an ego like other people do. We really think about how do we help people make money first. And we feel like if we do a good job of that, our customers make money, then we'll be just fine. And, we didn't spend a lot of time in the beginning, and I would say we still don't spend a lot of time thinking about how to maximize like profit or revenue. Like, we don't think about how to squeeze every dime out like they tell us we should. And so I feel like we've always done that. And I think that's always been to our credit because while I'm certain we leave some dollars on the table, I would say what happens with those dollars is they go back into our customers' pockets. And it means that our customers are more sustainable. And so long as we're sustainable, like that doesn't seem like a bad deal to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. Honestly, I respect that a lot. One more, if you don't mind. What does like a normal day look like to you? What's your typical day? Like, how do you get up in the morning? Like,
Yeah,
do you
sure.
drink coffee, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, I would say I get up in the morning and the first thing I do is I check Facebook Messenger. I check Slack, and what I'm really trying to see is where are the gaps between what my team thinks is going wrong versus what my customers are telling me is going wrong. And making sure that the people who have really urgent burning fire issues that maybe the system is not picking up the way you want it to are getting the attention they need.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's figuring out, once I get through that, it's really then sitting down with the team and saying, okay, well, where are we on what we promise to do every day, which is create a great product. And that could be bugs, that could be new features, that could be, right now we're in the middle of, we've just started roadmap planning for Q2. So it's really all about that. And then that's my morning. And then I shift over to a combination of meeting with senior leaders and customers all day long, with a preference to talk to customers. I hate my meetings with my team, but I know that's probably terrible to say, but I love them all. They're incredibly hardworking. It's just that if I think I'm missing a customer, that really frustrates me. And I find that if I stay in front of customers, it could be the web chat, it could be the Facebook group, could be a direct Facebook message, could be an email, could be lots of things. You just have a sense of what's going on. You can kind of keep your pulse on it, and you can start to figure out whether your team is executing or strategizing or planning ahead the way you want them to do it, or if the thing they're saying sounds really good, but just isn't checking with what the customer expects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd say a big one as well would be the Facebook group, because you were saying there about like the Slack and the support and everything, but a lot of stuff, as you can imagine, comes through the Facebook group. Like every time I go onto Facebook, the high level group is literally at the very top. Just someone, throwing out an idea or maybe a problem or something. I'd say you probably, in a way, you probably dread going on Facebook every morning, but of course it helps grow the company as a whole.
I do. It haunts my dreams, but what can you do? I mean,
yeah.
I always think about it as a double-edged sword, because there are lots of posts in there that are support posts, things like this, lots of stuff I just delete because I'm like, shouldn't be here. I just DM the person, whatever. But I still think, though, on the flip side, we get a ton of amazing information and also customers sharing with each other. I couldn't imagine a better place to do it. And so while it is not the easiest thing to do, I still think it's more than worth doing.
Yeah, for sure. And then I know as well, you've founded quite a number of other SaaS companies in the past. I've seen like Answer Connect, Soulstruck, and VoiceShark, all those. When did you sort of have the realization that high level was going to be what it was, and you just sort of doubled down with that? Like when did your focus shift mainly towards that? What stage?
For which one? High level?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
About 6 years ago. So, I mean, all of these journeys come to an end in order for the next one to begin. I mean, I know people who say they run multiple businesses. I just don't know what they're talking about, because I personally have never been able to do it. So, but I would say they're all thematic. So, dropping out of college to start Answer Connect was an awesome experience, because I had never really started a business, and I had an opportunity to grow that business quite large. It was 400 employees when I left, and it was working with 5,000 small businesses. I got a chance to travel the world. We had an office in India, so that was really cool. And then, but it wasn't as software based as I wanted it to be. And as a software guy, I moved on to Invoice Sherpa, which was still small businesses, this time all software. So along this journey, you start to learn all kinds of lessons that eventually help you down the line. But high level's definitely been my focus for about the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, for sure. And then I take it you have some sort of exit plan in mind down the line, or is it you just going to keep growing?
I mean, there's no master plan. I mean, again, I hear about these things on TV, but I've never met these people. I mean, I think that's all total crap.
Yeah.
I think it's a good sales pitch, but I think when you actually get here, come talk to me and I'll tell you it's not as advertised. I mean, People who give people money tend not to do it because they think that person's going to like run out the door.
Mm-hmm.
Real investors are investors. They're not looking for a job. So if they wanted to start a company, they'd do that. So there's very few people who are just like, oh, hey, I would love to come run your business every day. Here's lots of money to go sit on a beach.
Yeah.
It sounds nice, but I haven't seen it happen myself.
Yeah, yeah. For sure, for sure. I see a few people have their hand up in here as well. Robert, if you want to go next, if you want to ask away.
Yeah, thanks for that. How are you, Shaun? Hope you're doing well. Just have a couple of
Just getting
questions,
over a
obviously.
cold. I'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably had a long day, so what's it called? We'll try not to keep you too long, but obviously we all come here prepared with questions, so I have some
All
myself
good.
as well.
I appreciate that. Trust me,
Yeah,
I get a
of
lot. I
course.
get in a lot of rooms with a lot of blank stares and people who have no good questions. So I appreciate you
Yeah,
not doing
no,
that to
I,
me.
I I don't understand how people can waste an opportunity like this, but anyway, we'll get into it. I want to ask you, what events prior to what's it called, to GHL led you to co-founding GHL, and why SaaS?
Well, I've always been. I'm a computer science guy, so I've always loved software, and I liked it because it was something real and it changes the world. And I watched. And I'm way older than all of you guys, so I watched when software used to be something you'd buy on a CD or DVD and install and all this, and I watched that change. And just looking at the distribution model, it's something where you can go one to many. The problem with most businesses, if you look at their models, they're incredibly difficult to scale. Restaurants, law firms, dentists, like any business where there's a lot of them, there's a reason there's a lot of them. They're hard to scale. If they weren't hard to scale, there wouldn't be a lot of them. And fundamentally, software is less like that. Now, I don't like winner take all categories because I think the flip side can also be true. You can get just annihilated for the fact that you're in a very tiny market or a market where you're just not going to get a lot of players. Airlines come to mind, car companies. It's just very hard to be those people. And there's a very few number that will
Yeah,
fundamentally stay standing. They also tend to be very cutthroat and low margin, actually. But I think software is this nice in between where, it scales really well. It can be, but it can be done. It can be done by, I would say hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, depending on your model, quite successfully. And I think the big aha for me also has been, I used to think SaaS was something that had to be sold at a distance because that's how it started. It was very expensive originally to create software. So that's why only Silicon Valley did it. And it cost hundreds of millions of dollars to do it and all of this. But as time has gone on, it's become cheaper. And really, it has shifted the balance of power from those who have engineers to those who are good at sales. And if you look at the sales models, depending on who you sell to, but if you look at the sales models, let's say for a local business, most local businesses actually buy locally. And so as a result, it's allowed a lot of, if you can have a product in market locally, you can tend to best the person who's trying to sell at a distance because that trust you can build by walking in the front door is pretty hard to surmount.
yeah. Well, that's an amazing answer. I'm speechless after that, but would you say that? I mean, if you don't mind sharing, obviously, but from your previous ventures that you went on before GoHighLevel, would you say that you've invested most, if not all of it, toward founding GHL?
Yeah. So my last company, I sold it for $500,000, of which half went to taxes. Um, but of what was left, I would say 80 to 90% of that went into high level.
Nice.
And it's probably the only reason I could do that. Not to mention, I mean, other big things are I'm a software engineer. My co-founder is a software engineer. So our cost of production was actually pretty low because
Nice.
we could do a lot of it ourselves, at least at the beginning. You don't get to this level that way. I mean, we couldn't operate with the two of us these days, but it at least got us started. And yeah, that money bought us 6 months of time to get ourselves off the ground.
Nice. And from that previous success, and also the success that you're now experiencing, has that changed your view on things in life or the way that you approach life, such as your attitude and beliefs, um, you know, compared to before you had the success?
Ooh, good question. Um, I think that I've realized that the amount of success one needs to be happy is massively lower than I ever anticipated.
How would you say
And
that?
well, I mean, you know, I a good example. I went out and I bought a Tesla Model X for
Nice.
$96,000 in cash, and it was my dream car. I thought it was really going to change my life, but it turns out actually the doors are a pain in the ass,
Mhm.
and it's not as cool as you think. And at some point, it's just a car. And I ended up actually, I got lucky. I sold it back to Tesla for more than I paid.
Oh God.
And I got a Model Y, which was a lot cheaper because it turns out I just really like electric cars because I think they're cool and they change the world and they make it a better place. But having a super expensive car doesn't really freaking matter. So if anything, it's showed me that you're not any happier with expensive stuff than you'll be with cheap stuff.
Hmm.
And it does, so you really got to focus on the things that bring you joy. And I have to tell you, they're often not stuff.
Yeah.
I
Like,
know
would you
it's
say?
hard when you don't have money for stuff. It's hard to believe that statement, but
Yeah.
it's just how humans are built. You know, it's instinctual. If we were all predisposed to be super happy after buying one item or getting one item, we'd all be dead because we would have gotten an orange off the tree and we would have sat there enjoying it, and we didn't notice the tiger sneaking up behind us to take us out. So it's just built into our psyche to very quickly stop loving the thing we thought 2 seconds ago was going to change our lives.
Mhm.
So would you say, like, with the society that now we're now living in, where, like, we're always chasing something bigger, we're always chasing something, way nicer to be in the spotlight towards something. Would you say that always, or in most cases, the idea placed of having something nice that is unattainable is, you know, something that you just, once you get it, it's ultimately not that good. You just think of the next thing.
I think that is kind of how we operate, but I think what's key is to understand that there's enough. And what that means is just think for a minute that someday you could be in a place where you're happy and there are a lot of people who are way more successful than you because you have something they don't have. You
Mhm.
have enough because as you attain more success, you'll meet people who are bigger than you, badder than you, um, richer than you, but you'll also start to learn who these people really are, and you'll find they're not as happy as you. They have some really nasty stories they don't want to tell, and at some level, in order to stay up on top of the mountain, they just spend a lot of time trying to hurt other people in order to keep what they've got, and it's a really really hard life to live. And it'd be better to have half as much. They'd be way happier, and they'd spend a lot less time trying to kill everybody in order to stay on top.
God. Yeah, no, that's you can definitely tell that's what the case is. But just one last question, and that's it. Thanks for your time again. Um, have you had coaches and mentors?
Lots of mentors, no coaches. I'm a software nerd,
And
so
how? Yeah,
I got brought up. I got brought up in a world of code, right? So um, now that doesn't mean I don't need a coach, and it doesn't mean I don't believe in coaches. I've just my problem is um, I've always been very suspicious of people. And so, like one time I remember I was just about to hire a guy to coach me, and he was like a big SaaS coach. And then just randomly, I saw him comment on the Instagram feed of a guy who I just knew was a thief and a liar. And he was commenting like how great he was, and he was his best friend. And I thought, Well, that's exactly why I don't hire coaches, because look at this, jerk. And so it's not that I don't believe in it. I just think you have to be incredibly discerning, and you have to ask for references. Now, I will say I've had a hell of a lot of mentors. Um, in fact, I stole the entire business model for High Level from a guy named Nathan Barry, who started a product called ConvertKit. And
Oh, wow.
I just did it off YouTube. I just did it off YouTube. He put a YouTube video up called How ConvertKit Went from 0 to 8 million in ARR. And I watched that video and he segmented it out. And so I just literally copied every segment and applied it to my business. Now, I've never met him, although I did just meet his aunt at Social Media Marketing World in San Diego. And she said she would hook us up. So I can't wait to meet him. But I have absolutely begged, borrowed, and stolen every great idea I've ever had from somebody else.
Wow.
I've just always done it in an informal manner. Listening to a lot of podcasts, watching a lot of YouTube videos. I don't regard myself as very creative. I don't regard myself as very innovative. But one thing I am good at is hearing a good idea and stealing that thing for all it's worth and using it on my own. And I highly recommend that people do that, because it's incredibly difficult to come up with your own ideas. And that's not saying, oh, don't put your own spin on things. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, don't try to go out and do something no one's ever heard of and you don't know if anyone cares, because it's just hard. It's better to start with something, okay, that everybody does, and then say, hey, all right, how do I make this better? How would I make this different? Like, think about High Level. Like, we don't do anything that other people don't do. We just do it better than anybody else does it. And maybe that's in our pricing. Maybe that's in our business model. Maybe that's in all of the features being in one spot. There's many ways that we think. Maybe it's a white label. There's many ways that we think that we do things way better. But the thing itself, the feature, there's no feature we have someone else doesn't have. That's not our game. We don't. And in fact, I can think of, there are certain features, they escape me now, but there are certain features we've tried. And the more we go out on a limb to try to think through, oh, I bet people will love this, the worse they are. No one uses them. No one adopts those features. They're a waste of time. We would have been better off to have never done them. So don't try to reinvent the wheel. Try to take some existing wheel and make it better.
Perfect. Right. I appreciate that. Thank you for all the answers. They were amazing. Hope you
No worries.
hope everything goes well. I'll definitely keep on using GoHighLevel. It's amazing. It has really changed
As long as
everything.
things work, as long as things go well for you, they'll go well for me. That's really all that
Perfect.
matters to us.
Perfect. Right. Appreciate your time, Shaun. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
And back to there, you're saying about ConvertKit. You said you're going to meet him hopefully shortly. What are you actually going to say to him? Like, because obviously,
I'm going to tell him what I tell everybody. I'm going to say, thank God you made that video, man, and stole my entire business model from you. I wouldn't be here without you. I really appreciate you making that video.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds good. Unreal. Right. Dario, I see you have your hand up there. If you want to ask away, man. Your mic's muted there.
Yeah. All right. I also love to see your setup and seeing you there on your setup, because I've watched YouTube videos on the whole GoHighLevel channel and I see you being in the exact same position, and I love that.
Well, technically, I hate to warn you, but this is actually a rental. My house is almost done being remodeled. So next week I'm back to my original position, but I would not have moved if my wife didn't force me out of the house.
There you go.
So just don't want to lie to you.
Perfect. Right. So my first question was more on I have two questions. One's more on the personal side and the other one's more on the business side. I would want to ask the business one first. And my main question would be, for GoHighLevel, what would be the biggest roadblocks in terms of other companies that are, say, in the CRM space or say in the email automation space, that would block the further growth of GoHighLevel as a company? So what would you say are companies that are
Yeah.
not able to coexist?
I would say we spend we spend less time looking up than we do looking back. So if I look ahead, I look at people who are bigger than us, they don't frighten me at all because they're stodgy and they're stuck in their ways. They're not going to change their business model to come after us. Their investors would murder them. So they're great. We're going to take those guys out. But what we look at is we look behind, right? Because it's the upstarts, it's the newbies, it's the people who have less to lose. They're the people that I care about and I watch and I worry about the most. And just to make sure that we're not missing something where we can, if we wake up every day and we think, oh, we're on top of the world and we're unbeatable, that's the day we lose. So we spend a lot of time looking backwards and just saying, okay, who do we not know about? Who's the nobody today? Who's the loser? Who's the guy with no votes and no views and no customers who is gonna show up next year 10x bigger, and then all of a sudden he's somebody to deal with? And how do we handle that person today?
Right. So it's more of focusing on young promises, young ideas, rather than seeing
Yeah,
this
I mean, those
big
people
blocks ahead.
they're dangerous, man. You got to watch out for those guys. They can turn on a dime. The bigger you get, the harder it is to make that turn.
Right.
Those bigger companies, they have a lot of money, but they have a lot of stakeholders and they have a lot of shareholders, and they can't make the turn. Could you imagine pick any company bigger than us? And they're like, I know what we're going to do. We're going to come out with a pricing plan where we take our logo off the thing. We let people sell unlimited sub accounts for one fixed price. It's going to be amazing. And then they're like, you're fired. Like that's all that would happen there. They're not going to do that. What are you talking about?
So you would say that GoHighLevel is at a stage in which, it's no longer one of those young enterprises, but it's not one of these huge companies. It's at a point where, you can switch it up, you can move around, have a bit of margin there to work with new ideas.
We're in this middle ground where it's good because we still plan a quarter out, which tells me that, like, for example, OpenAI and ChatGPT and all that is super hot, right? And as a result, I'm proud to say by next week, we'll have it in the blog builder, we'll have it in websites, we'll have it in funnels. There's one other place. And then like early Q2, we'll have it like in emails. Basically, we'll have it everywhere, right? And because we plan a quarter out, we're going to keep it rolling, and we're going to have a trainable AI bot that you guys can create and train to do conversations, right? So that tells me we're nimble. That's good. And I'm getting those ideas from my customers, from the market, right? But we're sizable enough that I also have to remember that our customers care a lot about stability and making sure that we're consistently enhancing the existing feature set. So like, I know that custom fields on opportunities is a really important thing to put out next quarter, because if you work with serious businesses, you need to be able to make those opportunities bend and flex, right?
Right.
Or I know that the default text on the emails, in the email builder is somehow wrong, and we have to fix that, right? There's like all these little things that are none of which are really life changing, but I know that my customers are watching that consistency as much as that cool new feature. So I gotta win both games, right? Versus a newer competitor. When we were younger, we were like, screw consistency. Let's just pump out those new features as fast as we can. So if you're smaller, you're still in that stage, and you catch a lot of attention that way, right? And so we always have to watch those newer competitors, and we have to make sure that whatever they pop out with that's exciting, we do that same thing.
Yeah, totally right. That was a big insight actually on, how companies go through stages and they develop
and
their
for
own
the
path.
record, let's be really clear. I don't ever want to run a super big company. It's another really important thing. I don't want to be the CEO of a mega multi-billion-dollar corporation. That sucks. Those guys have a hard job and everyone hates them and they don't do anything interesting or fun. So thanks, but no thanks. I'm good.
Listening to how you answered my colleague here, that was something I would have guessed would be your kind of answer to that. Now regarding a bit more of your personal life, when did it all come together? So at what point in your life do you think that your step was not to
Has it
go
already
through
come
the
together? I don't
traditional
know.
route? Still coming together,
Uh,
right? But you know, traditional route, you
uh,
just fresh out of college with
nope,
with
never
a
happened.
degree.
Dropped
Never
out.
happened. Well,
I dropped out.
stepped out of wherever you qualify yourself as a
I'm a
computer
college dropout.
science.
I qualify myself as a college dropout. But no, so let's see. I've always been an entrepreneur.
Right.
In high school, I made websites for people and ran a
Uh-huh.
little web business for a while. Was my next venture. Let's see, websites. I'm getting foggy. Oh, and then I think I actually did. So then I did the college thing, which I really enjoyed. It's just, oh, I know what happened. I had an internship, or actually I had a job as a software engineer at a advertising agency, really big one. And this was in 2000. You guys weren't even born, I'm sure, but there's this thing called the dot-com crash. You can look it up online. And basically that's when the whole internet blew up, like in a bad way, because everyone had piled money into pets.com, and everyone assumed that everything was going to instantly be sold online. And sure enough, it didn't happen. So lots of people lost their jobs, including me as a college student. And so I literally was going door to door. I was ready to work at McDonald's. I didn't care. And I ended up meeting my business partner and starting the Answer Connect. So I would say, but I always knew I wanted to start a business. I didn't have business owners in my family though. I didn't have anybody who could tell me how it worked or any of that stuff. My mom was a mechanical engineer, only child, single mom. So not a lot of like direction, trying to read like some Tony Robbins books or something, whatever. And none of that crap really did anything. So, and so I always look for a mentor. So, which is why when I found my original business partner, I thought, oh, I finally made it.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, I would highly advise just get out on the field and play the game and just realize that it's harder than it looks, but you're not going to know until you try, and you're not going to learn until you do. And no one's going to be able to help you find all the answers to all the problems. But I've always wanted to own my time. And I think
Right.
it probably owes to the fact that as I watched my mom go to work every day and work really hard, I watched her get laid off twice in my childhood. And when I look back on it, it wasn't because she wasn't showing up for work every day. She sure the hell was. It's just because they had downtime in their business, so they laid her off. And I thought, well, that sucks. I don't want to be
Yeah.
that guy. So how else could you do it but be an entrepreneur, right? You have to control your destiny.
So it was something that you had a clear vision that you would go down that route since you were younger. So it wasn't
I mean,
something that, you know, you
clear is an
stumbled upon. It was
interesting.
something that you had a
Yeah,
vision
there
of.
you go. I think the better way to think about it is I directionally understood that I didn't just want to go work for somebody else, because I
Right.
knew that wasn't a guarantee of success or stability or anything else. And I thought of my mom. I mean, she had a college degree in engineering. I mean, mechanical engineering. If you can get a mechanical engineering job anywhere now. I mean, it was in high
Yeah.
demand then. So it's one of those things where I thought, well, gosh, if somebody who's smart and has the degree and is providing a service everybody needs, whatever, can't consistently necessarily stay employed all the time, why in the world would I want to sign up for that crap? That sounds scary. So
You
I
would
was like,
rather
how
bet on
else can I do
yourself.
it? I was like, well, worst case scenario, I'm sure I'll lose, but at least I'm in control of that loss. I don't have to just hope someone doesn't call me to their office and say, hey, Shaun, it's been great, but it's been real, but I got to let you go, man. You're a good guy. And although just wasn't something I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that was more the kid of my question, you know, like getting to the point where you thought you envisioned that as how you were gonna go through life, you know. So it was nice hearing that from you because I have a similar perspective in life since I was a kid. Different being that both my parents both started their own businesses, so they taught me as a kid that
That's cool. Well, don't worry. I have a 10-year-old son. So I tell him
there
this
you go.
every day. I
There you
have
go.
him have him selling stuff to his friends on the playground right now.
He's probably out selling sub accounts, is he?
I wish. No. It varies. It moves around. It was 3D printed stuff. I think he's doing Pokemon now. But the reality is it's about doing the reps, right? It's not even being successful. It's just training the mind and really talking about how the world really works. Super important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's interesting you say that though, because I actually used to sell sweets and candy and shit in school as well, and then I had to stop that
There you
because
go.
they thought I was selling drugs for some reason, and then I sort of
I did the exact same, Jason. I did the same.
and then
There you go, man. It's always the teachers,
yeah, and then I stumbled upon high level, and here we are, just talking about businesses.
There you
and
go.
crazy, for
Totally.
sure. Yeah, for sure.
A nice step.
100%. Ivan, you wanna take the spotlight?
Yo, what's it going? How's it going, mate?
Hey, Ivan.
Yeah, I just want to ask you because I see a lot of other kind of similar software such as ClickFunnels, and I just wanted to ask you what makes you guys different in Go High Level in terms of the both softwares, the business models, and like the community as well behind ClickFunnels, because you have guys like Russell Brunson and a lot of other people backing that side up, but like what makes you guys different to them basically?
Oh, I mean, I think the difference is I'm not a marketer.
Yeah.
And I'm not a coach. I'm a software guy and we're product people. And I guess our vision on the world is, we really think it's important for you to be out front and for your logo to be on stage, and for people to recognize you as the sort of end-to-end provider of their success. I've met with thousands of agencies who've used hundreds of different products, and it's the same story. I had my client buy XYZ product. I put my heart and soul into it. I made it really work for them. And then they fired me and they kept the software. And I guess for me, I think that's very disingenuous. Although I think marketing agencies really form the backbone of a lot of the referrals to these types of products. Now, ClickFunnels is a really special one, I think, because it's the one product where I would say that the CEO of the company or owner or whatever is in his own right an amazing marketer. But I think it's also about focus and what you're good at in life. And I'm not ever going to try to coach. I won't coach you to do anything. I won't coach you to skip a rock. I'm not a coach.
Yeah.
And because I'm not a coach, I think I'm really good at software and product. And my promise to you is I'm going to show up every day and I'm going to work really hard to create a kick-ass platform for you that does everything you need it to do to be a great marketer. And my expectation of you is that you show up and you be the best of what you want to be. Maybe you want to be a coach. Maybe you are a coach. Great. Be the best coach. Just use high level, right? Be the best marketer. Be the best SaaSpreneur. Be what you're going to be. Because for me, it's a partnership. I play my part. You play yours. Together we win, which is why I try to create a revenue model where you make money. I think other software companies have it wrong. They think they just sell you tools, you buy tools, and they could give a crap what happens after that. And I think that's a mistake and is wrong.
Yeah, because I do see like a big difference in terms of the environment as well. Like I don't feel like I'm being sold to when I'm interacting with any type of agencies or any type of gurus in the Go High Level space. Whereas if I'm on someone's page and they're talking about ClickFunnels or whatever, they're using a lot of copywriting, a lot of hard sales tactics, and it doesn't always feel genuine, I guess. So
yeah, I mean, I think your mileage will vary. I'm sure there's some really great people, and I think the most important thing to remember is that there's always places you can get taken in life. Just make sure you ask for references and call them. I find most people tend not to do that. They get really swept up in the sex appeal of it, and then they dive right in. But I would say high level, I just think we're a bunch of nerdy software engineers, so it's just hard for us to come out swinging like we're hot stuff marketers, because that's just not, we can't rep that game. We couldn't rep that game before. We can't rep that game now. We're just who we are, right? So we don't mind. It's just who we are. And I think it helps because, again, at the end of the day, my expectation of you is I want to see you be successful in what you're achieving. And I know my role in that is to create a great product for you. And if I do that, you're going to do great. I'm going to do great. We're going to do great. And I don't know. I don't need to sell you on that. I don't need to put a webinar together, or I don't know what people do. I don't need to rent that room that looks like a private jet so I can take a picture of myself. I don't need to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, that's everything pretty much.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting there you mentioned that about you're not a marketer, because like you go onto Facebook and you just see Russell on the face of all the ads, but I've never once seen you on there. You know what I mean? In a way, we're sort of doing the selling for you. You don't really need to run all those ads. We're out selling sub accounts.
Well, I mean, I think that's a really, but let's just think about that for a minute. I think that's a really key point. So there's a gajillion different ways to coach people, all of which are very genuine and very good. And so I think that I'm a fairly smart guy and I might be able to figure out how to coach people on something, but I don't try, because also I realize that if I try, that's me making a statement that's saying like, I can coach you on everything, but that's just not possible. There are great real estate coaches. There are great, I don't know, service coaches. There are great fitness coaches. There are lots of different types of coaching. And so to suck the air out of the room and try to put the center of the spotlight on yourself, I think, again, is disingenuous. It's just lying to people. What you need to do is go out and find the right coach for you so that they can take the strategy that they know, and by the way, it changes all the time, and pair it with the right tools to create the right formula, because that's how you create the success. And to say that like somehow we could own the market on that seems just, again, disingenuous. And I just can't say with a straight face things I don't believe.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds good. Kevin, I know we only have about 15 minutes left here. So Kevin, if you want to go ahead and ask away, bro.
You guys have some of the best questions of all time. So good job. I wish I had more voice to give it to you.
Yeah. I just have three questions. One is kind of about business, and two are kind of about, my mindset and that kind of stuff. But in terms of business, like a lot of GoHighLevel people sell to like small and medium-sized businesses, and like a lot of them aren't kind of, interested in just say the time-saving features and stuff like that. Like, the way you have the social media planner. Like, what have you found that are like the highest like revenue generating like features of HighLevel?
Yeah, so we have this thing called what is it called? Quick Wins. It's in the YouTube channel. There's a playlist. And the reality is that first and foremost, as an agency, you really ought not to talk features with people if at all possible, because they're not really qualified, actually. Remember, they're small businesses. They're out doing something every day. Now, they might naturally try to do that, but I mean, that'd be like, I don't know, like if you, I could try to like talk cars with you or something, right? I'd be like, oh, doesn't this have like a V8 8-liter Hemi? I mean, I could try. I'm just not qualified, right?
Yeah.
And so, and if you go down that route, the problem is that it's like debating with someone who doesn't actually know what they're talking about. It's just a waste of your time and theirs. So as an agency, you need to know the features that deliver the results and go look at those quick wins. That's where I would start. But you don't talk to your customers that way. You say, listen, I get you more X reviews, 5-star reviews, customers, higher ranking on Google, all of those things. And the features create the value, but you're not in the business. You're in the business of talking about the value, not the business of talking about the features. Good example is missed call text ban. The number of businesses, I can speak for the United States, but the number of businesses in the United States who miss phone calls, all of them, right? And what happens when they miss a call? Most people, they keep calling. They call the next business, right?
Yeah.
And so if you take one feature, missed call text back, and you put it in place for most businesses in the United States, they would make a tremendous amount of money from one saved sale that you help them do. Just one. Now, if I talk features, if I say, hey, do you have a CRM system? that whole thing blows out and you never get there because no CRM system has missed call text back. Heck, most people don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is they miss calls all the darn time.
Mm-hmm.
I only know this because I used to run an answering service with 5,000 small businesses. What do you think we did for a living? We took overflow calls when businesses miss calls. And let me tell you, I'll tell you when they miss them. It's not 5 o'clock. It's not 8 o'clock. Sure, they miss a couple. They miss them at 10 in the morning. They miss them at 9:30. They miss them at 11:45 a.m. They miss them all damn day because they think in their mind, I'm here at the desk. I must be getting all of my calls. That's nonsense. You're out doing your thing. You're otherwise indisposed. You're at lunch. You're going to the bathroom. You're talking to another client. Who knows? Point is, you're missing calls, man. And that's just money you're missing right there. So you put that one feature in place, boom, you'll light up the boards. Now I don't have to talk about or debate features. And so imagine that same concept spread across another 5 features. You just crush it.
Yeah, I was kind of my question. Like I probably phrased it wrong. I was kind of like, what's your favorite kind of revenue generating, or just in general your favorite
Missed
features?
call text back.
Yeah,
Missed
that's
call
what I was
text back
thinking.
is
You're
my
a
favorite.
big fan of Missed Call Text Back,
I'm a
and
huge fan of it. But it's so obvious.
yeah,
But that's the beautiful thing
brilliant.
about high level too, though, is like it has so many features, but you can literally build a multi-million-dollar SaaS off 1 or 2 of the features alone. You know what I mean? People are definitely
That's what I tell
overcomplicating this.
people all the time.
Yeah, like people are overcomplicating this. They're saying, "Oh, do you need a CRM? Missed call text back, social media scheduler, all that kind of stuff." Whereas if you just pick 1 or 2 features and go out and sell it, what it's gonna do.
Yeah. I mean, I think people think that they have to deliver a lot of stuff to create a really great business. Now, you don't. You have to create value above what you're pricing by some reasonable margin. And 2x will do it. And I think missed call text back should about 10x every month in and out forever for that business. And that just means that they can pay $300 every month forever. And the fun thing is the less you do, the less they call you. I have a HVAC guy. It's the only small business we have. We do reputation management. And really, you know what that means? That means every time they cut an invoice, we just send a text. Hey, this is Drew at Alpine Heating. Look it up, Alpine Heating and Air, Eugene, Oregon. I'd love to hear how we did. Here's a link that makes it easy. Link to their Google page, pops the reviews. When I met the dude, he had 12. Now he has over 500. And he's paid me $300 a month, day in and day out for 6 years. And he never calls.
Just for reputation management.
Yeah. But not for reputation management, for raising his rank on Google, for getting him a shit ton more customers, for taking the guy, when I met him, from 2 trucks, of which one he drove and did my HVAC in my house, to 13 trucks last I bothered to check. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't do HVAC anymore. He sits at the office and he's the big man who runs the business. So no, it's not just for reputation management, it's for all that.
Yeah.
That's true. And sorry, I just have kind of 2 more questions to kind of run into one another. Like I used to do plumbing before I kind of try to become an entrepreneur and all that. So like the fact that so many entrepreneurs like fail, you hear of like a lot of people who've tried out that there's so many failures. Like how did you know that you were going to be successful in the entrepreneur space? Like despite the fact that there were so many people who fail, is it just because you kept going at it?
I had no idea I would be successful.
Okay.
No idea. Just I didn't have a plan B. So I just couldn't stop. I couldn't quit. I failed all kinds of times. That's the other thing. Like it's like going to Las Vegas, man. Like, oh, they come back from Vegas. Like, how much did you win? They're like, oh man, I won 10 grand. They just don't mention they had to spend 20 grand to win it.
To win it, yeah. So you're kind of sorry, go on.
I had Invoice Ready. Go look it up. It's an Android app. It's sitting in the Android market. Invoicing app, total failure. Didn't go anywhere. We had what did we call it? Oh, Service Pro Max. We spent 6 months building a home services software app. And I had hundreds of service guys that I knew from my prior business. We brought it out. They said, that looks great, but guess what? We've seen that before. What else you got? Failure.
Yeah.
We just didn't stop. We didn't quit. We just kept saying, all right, what's next? And I would have gotten a job if I had to, but I would have kept going on the side. It's not about, you only lose if you quit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's kind of
That's where most people, I think, go to die, is that they have these inflated expectations on short timelines. If you just say, listen, like, it's kind of like, what it's like, why is it that every year, how to get 6-pack abs sells like bananas, man?
six
And
pack in
it's
6
because none
weeks.
of us ever get 6-pack abs. We see the dude with them, we want them, but then when it comes down to it and they tell us the real work that has to get done, we're like, that's too hard. Screw that. I'm not doing that. I don't want to eat well. I don't want to work out every day, right? I don't want to do that stuff. That's too hard. So we quit.
Yeah.
I think ultimately you need to set realistic expectations. And really what that means is, hey, this is going to take years. And in between here and there, lots of crap is going to go wrong. And I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. And some things won't go my way. But I'm a smart guy. And as long as I don't do something stupid like bet the farm on something, as long as I can roll to new ideas and pivot, I'll find a way.
Okay. And that's kind of have a lot of that answered, but like, people kind of say, just say where you are now, like the person you are now, the way to say that in order to become, just say, a 10K earner or 100K per month earner, you have to be a 100K per month person. Like, what do you feel like is different between you now where you are and just say you when you were 20 or all your other failed ventures? Like, what was the missing piece, not just in like the business, but in you personally?
A lot of failure and a lot of hard lessons from that failure. And a lot of what I just told you. Because when I was
Yeah.
20, I thought I'd be driving a Ferrari in 2 weeks. And I thought I'd be a millionaire in a year. I didn't realize how hard it was. And I think a lot of those lessons come with time. And if anything, though, if I had to do anything over, I just would have started sooner. I went pretty hard. I mean, I used to work 7 days a week. If anything, I probably actually would have worked 6 days a week and taken a day off and gone skiing and more because I really like skiing. But other than that, I mean, I wouldn't have had a business partner because without at least owning 51% of the company, I mean, there's some changes I would have made, but I would have gone harder, younger, and I would have just been less concerned about getting it right. I would have been less concerned about finding some magic answer in the universe because, as I've come to find, people are mostly full of it and they don't really know what they're saying or talking about. And a lot of this stuff gets learned on the field, and it's not pretty, and it's not easy, and it's not simple. And when you look back on it all, you don't think that you could have radically done that much better, all things considered.
Yeah. No, thank you. That's actually, like, it's nice to hear that, because from a person in your position, to hear that you have to wade through all this shit to finally get it to work. And then you see a lot of, like, there's people, mentors and shit that I've invested in, and it's like, be a 10 or what's a 6-figure per year earner in 6 months or 5 months. And at the start, obviously, like, now I know this is bullshit, but like at the start I was like, why, like, I thought that there was something missing, and just hearing you say that is, it's good to hear that it's just you have to eat through the shit and not
again,
quit.
the problem is that's just, again, on the reverse side, how many people want to be told that, like, hey, sign up for something that's really hard, that takes a long time, that you're likely to fail at many times, buy my course. I mean,
Yeah,
that course
it won't really sell,
right? Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't, I mean, the truth is what the truth is. It doesn't mean it's not worth doing. It's just understanding what you're signing up for and being willing to really push through it and take the time.
Yeah. Thanks a million for that, Shaun. That's really helpful. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, we got around 4 minutes here. So Maxim, if you want to go next real quick.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So I want to start off by saying a big thank you for Shaun to actually come into this meeting to talk to people that are not in his life, just some random
All
people.
good, man.
I really
As long
appreciate that.
as long as something, as long as I'm helping, that's all I care about.
Yeah, I want to keep it short and sweet because I really value everyone's time and especially yours. So first of all, I want to address the most controversial question in the room. Why do you believe that the SaaS model is better than the SMMA model? Because like there's been a huge what's it called change in the market. Because Go High Level is literally in a month or two most likely going to be mainstream. Like there's no doubt. I really want to find out what why do you think it's better? Because there's people saying, oh, you charge less, you do the same amount of time of outreach, but you're getting clients under your belt for what, 300 a month, and like people are really shitting on SaaS in that way. And I really want to find out how
Oh
you
yeah.
feel about
Well,
that.
apparently I haven't run SMMA for very long. So, first of all, again, I only learned this by talking to a couple thousand agencies. All right. So I would just get on the phone with guys like you and I'd be like, hey, how's it going, man? What do you do? Because remember, HighLevel didn't even have SaaS when we first got started. We're just like, hey, we got a funnel builder, we got this, we got that. Hey, what kind of business you're in? Oh, I run a social media marketing. Oh, dentist, $3,000 a month, Facebook ads, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, how's that working? Like, oh, well, I get up to about 5 clients. And then, I'm so busy doing the implementation, rotating the ads, all this other stuff. I stopped selling. And then, oh, wouldn't you know it, I lose 2 clients. Then crap, I got to run out, start selling again. And it's just this hamster wheel, right? And I heard that story hundreds of times. And, reality is here's the problem I think people miss here. It sounds really good. And I've seen people do it really well. But the customer, the dentist, the lawyer, the doctor, the whomever, they don't have anyone on their income statement that is a human being that isn't an employee that they pay $3,000 a month to forever. Doesn't exist. So you're at the top of their most expensive expense list. That is a huge target on your back. Mm-hmm. And so as a result, if I'm the dentist and I look at my expenses every month with my payroll, my bookkeeper, I'm like, who the hell's this guy get? $3,000? Dude, that new Mercedes I've been eyeing, that sucker's on lease for $800. How do we smoke this fool? What's he doing for us? And then that's what happens every month. That is a hell of a hurdle to climb. And I'll tell you what happens in most situations. They're like, that's like some social Facebook ads or something. I don't even know what that's doing for us. Yeah, let's just, he's a nice guy. Let's just pause him for now, you see. AKA, let's just fire him for now. Mm-hmm. And so I met thousands of people doing that. And I was like, well, that sucks. But then I started meeting other people who are high-level customers, by the way. How are things going? Things are going great. My business is kicking ass. We're scaling like crazy. That's wild. What are you doing? Well, actually, turns out I'm actually selling HighLevel as a monthly recurring fee service. And now I'm not just selling the software, of course. I'm adding on my IP. I'm creating all kinds of snapshots, updates, new social media posts, whatever. I'm providing all kinds of additional value. But at the heart of it is this recurring software fee. And I'm like, holy crap, like SaaS? And they're like, what the hell is that? And so you talk to enough people, you start to see the patterns. And so reality is I would say I learned that SMMA doesn't work just by talking to enough agency owners who failed at it or who were stuck in the hamster wheel and finding other people who weren't. And I just think of SaaS as really honestly, yet again, stealing a great idea from my customers and bringing it out to other people and saying, hey, look, here's something different. Yes, it's less expensive on a monthly basis, which, by the way, is why you'll stay with your customer for 10 years, not 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, man. Yeah, that answered my question really well, and I think everyone really enjoyed that answer. I'll actually keep you for one more question. I know
you're fine. I'm switching over to my phone because I have to go pick up my son from school, but I'm not leaving. Don't worry.
All right. Just one last question. I won't take up too much. What's the best way to pitch SaaS in a sense that regarding SMMA is the done for you, and when you're selling SaaS, you're basically saying, here's a tool, use it, but you have to pay me. Like, how do you pitch it?
No. So you got to realize you got to be in the middle there. So it's you can't sell it as a tool, because you're not in the business of selling software. You're in the business of selling outcomes. It's creating those outcomes at a lesser cost. And what I mean by that, So what I mean by that is you're saying, listen, let's take like social media posting as an example. You're saying, listen, you don't need me to do custom social media posts for you. You need a template library of social media posts that gets refreshed every month, where I put in new ones for you, and then you can post on your own. And so ultimately, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Awesome. So now if they go to compare, so think about it like this. If they go to compare you to a software provider, you're going to look better, because it's not just a social media post, right? It's the membership that teaches them how to do it. It's other content, it's other IP, it's all kinds of other pieces of value. It's a weekly group Zoom call talking about the best methods and strategies to do it, et cetera, right? So it's a lot more than just software. But on the other end, if you go to a bespoke social media posting agency and they say, how much? Well, they're going to say $3,000 a month. And they're going to say, oh my God, I paid this other guy 300. So your 300 looks way better, regardless of whether they compare you to software or to just straight up service. Does that make sense?
Yep. Really appreciate the answer. Yeah, I won't keep you for any longer. I don't have any more questions.
It's all good. Now I'm in the car, so now I got 20 minutes.
Perfect. Well,
all right, Shaun, thank you for answering my questions. I really appreciate your attention and answers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries. I'm happy to help.
Sure. Well, we're running 3 minutes over here, and we'll wrap it up here. But Isaac, you're the last one with your hand up, man. If you want to take the stage for the last one.
Yeah. Thanks, Shaun, for answering our questions and stuff. I heard you say earlier that you listen to podcasts, and I was just wondering if you have any, podcast recommendations.
Well, I'll tell you the exact one I was thinking about, but it may not apply to you. Although, actually, let me take that back. I disagree. Actually, probably is great. There's a podcast by a guy named Nathan Latka, and Latka. And it's all about software companies. And what I love about it is he's asking people, what do you do? How much do you charge? How many customers do you have? Are you profitable? How do you sell? How do you market? It's all about the actual meat and potatoes of running a software company. And he's interviewed probably 3,000 SaaS CEOs, right? And I listened to that podcast for one reason and one reason only. I'm just looking for good ideas to copy. And fundamentally, along the way, I learned tremendous amounts of things that created a lot of pattern matching in my ability to understand the SaaS market. And what I think is really cool about what we're trying to do with the SaaSpreneur stuff and why this could be very useful is in all actuality, I think of all of you now as being SaaS companies. You have as much ability to sell software as any software provider out there for the features that are in the platform. And so, and honestly, I think you have a massive leg up, because unlike software providers, you know better than to sell features. You know that your mission is to sell outcomes, because that's what moves people. No one buys software, no small business owner anyways, buys software because they think it's super geeky and cool to monkey with the features. They're too busy. They need things that move the needle. They need more customers. They need more 5-star Google reviews. They need these things so they can pay their bills and feed their family. That's what you sell. And as a result, I think you could listen to those interviews and learn a lot about different markets,
And by the way, if you serve a market or you serve an area or you serve a whatever, or you're thinking about it, gosh, I mean, go listen to 10 people talk about what they do in those markets. You'll learn something. But I think it will also inform you about how you could do as good or better than all of them by simply applying the lens of, I'm not here to sell you a feature. I'm here to sell you an outcome.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Sure. That's something what
No
I noticed
worries.
as well. When I was doing like a lot of cold calls and stuff, I noticed business owners got really put off by the fact it was a software. Even just that slight change from software to like say system, for example, then they sort of, their ears opened a bit more. Whereas just saying software, people just don't.
Well, yeah, because you're no different than everybody else, right? You know how many software companies have 1,000 sales guys sitting in a building someplace pounding the phones?
Mm-hmm.
But the great news is, if you think about it, what software company could you call up and say, hey, I just bought your software. Can you show me how to make money with this?
Yeah.
Can you show me how to get more customers with this? They'd be like, what? Huh? No, we're just a software company, right? This is where you guys can change the game and say like, hell yeah. In fact, I didn't even know you knew we had any software. Let me tell you about how we're going to make you lots of money. Let me tell you how we're going to get you lots of 5-star Google reviews, or let me show you how to run a database reactivation campaign and get all of the customers you haven't seen in the last 6 months to walk back in your door without running any ads. Like, it's the strategies meeting up with the tools that create the value and the outcome, not the stupid tool by itself.
Yeah, for sure. And the fact that like everyone in here can just skip the whole process of needing to learn how to code or hire developers or something. The fact that we can just take high level itself, put our own logos, and just become our own software companies literally in, I'd say, under 2 hours. That's crazy,
And it goes beyond. I mean, we have people. I mean, I know a company that will do $10 million. Well, they actually did 10 million last year in software revenue alone. I know people have sold their SaaS. I know people have raised money on their SaaS, all at SaaS multiples, because there is no difference between the white label and you doing it yourself. Because at the end of the day, investors look at multiples. They don't look at mechanics. All they care about is the platform you're built on going to be something that I can own if I buy your company? And the answer is yes. And as a result, then they just give you a multiple on your revenue.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, makes sense. For sure. Well, listen, Shaun, it was great having you. I know we took you there for
Yeah, likewise. Thank you. Thank you very much.
It was an extra 9 minutes.
Always happy to come back if you need.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully we'll have another one in a few months' time when this whole group's growing a bit more. But I'd say the number one thing I took from the call itself was to drop out of college and I'll make it work. So don't expect expect a text from my mother within the next 24 to 48 hours on Messenger. But yeah, no, thanks for
okay, for the record, I did ask my mom before I dropped out, and she had great advice. She said you can always go back.
Yeah. No, that is true. That is true for sure. 100%. Well, listen, thank you so much again.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for answering our questions.
Thanks a lot, Shaun.
No worries.
Thanks, Shaun.
Bye,
Appreciate
guys.
your time, man.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
There it goes. Let me see. I'll stop recording.